to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. What a magical time of the year it is, isn't it? I mean, Christmas is in the air, children are getting excited, parents are getting frazzled, and I just love the energy this time of the year brings. I think it always brings such promise for no matter how difficult our year's been, that things are going to get brighter, things are going to get easier, that, you know, we can sort of pack up our troubles and just sort of send them away, even if it's only for a brief time, that we can lose ourselves in the momentum and the magic of what Christmas is about. And it's about sharing and caring. I don't think it's necessarily about all the expensive presents under the tree. It's about spending quality time with the people that you love. So this week's Simply Tarot card of the week, I'm going to call it the Christmas Star. It is the star. It is the card of brightness and hope. You need to be very careful though. It can bring brightness and hope, but it could also bring excesses. So be careful not to become too greedy. Now, what do I mean by that? Sometimes I think we get so excited about the wonderful new things that are happening in our lives that we don't take care of the little things, of the people that are around us, that we get so obsessed with our own good fortune or the brightness and prospects of the future that we forget that other people may not be doing as well as we are. And as much as they're excited for us, we shouldn't rub their nose in it. You know, we should share our good fortune and our prosperity and make sure that we don't become too greedy in our expectations. You know, just because one wonderful thing's happened doesn't mean that it's going to continue and that we're going to be on a winning streak for the rest of our lives. We need, you know, all the shades of up, down and sideways and in between to make us appreciate the good times. So this is a card that I think we can all wish upon a star for Christmas. We can all expect and want some brighter, bigger, better things to come into our lives, particularly over the next few months, because we've all worked hard for it. So it's a time to sort of really enjoy the season, enjoy what the world has got to bring to us at the moment. And it's the magic of Christmas. And it's, you know, the renewal of life and love. And if you're religious, it's the time of our Jesus's birth. And, you know, I was going to call him the baby Jesus. I was watching a show last night where they were referring to him as the baby Jesus. So it's interesting that we all should be remembering and celebrating that we're here and we're breathing and we've got a lot to offer the world. So it's a very, very, very magical time of the year. So we're going to move on into the astrology section. We're into the home run, I suppose, if you want to call it that way, of the Sagittarian time of the year. I'll be a little bit sad when it goes because it's my magical favourite time of the year. Plus, it was my birthday the other day. So it's a time where I really become alive. And I think a lot of us become alive around our birthday time. Some people say, oh, I dread them. I don't want to count them on the years and the calendar that are slipping by. But it is a celebration of who you are and that you've made another, you know, solar year. That's what we call it in astrological terms. Your birthday is another solar return. It means that, you know, you've been on the planet for another 12 months, and that's amazing. So we still have the sun sitting in Sagittarius, bringing all the magic and sparkle of what the festive season has to offer. But at the moment, the sun in Sag is actually making a lovely aspect. It's trining, which is an easy aspect, to Jupiter in Pisces. So what this means at the moment for Sagittarians and Pisces in particular is that you have the opportunity to bring something magical towards you in your life at the moment. This is the time where if you really want to shine or you really want to be noticed or you really want to sort of get your boss to pay attention to something that you've been proposing or wanting to propose or put forward for some time, now is the best time astrologically to present that to them, that they really are seeing you in the light of who you are, what you can bring to the table and what maybe you can bring as improvements to their bottom line, which is always what companies are looking for, but also to help you sort of really progress and gain what you want to gain and achieve out of your life at the moment. For other people, it may just be bringing the family together and sort of saying, this is the first time in many years that we can all come together and we can all share the fruits of our labours and talk about the new prospects that are on the horizon. But it is a magical time. It's something that doesn't happen very often, so don't waste it if you're a Sagittarian or a Pisces. Look for the big golden opportunities that might be there, the ways that you can make yourself sparkle and shine at the moment and capitalise on what's there. Put your best foot forward at the moment because people are looking and listening and and checking out how you conduct yourself. It's not just whether or not you're clever enough, it's how the whole package is. They're looking at the whole package. So make sure you put your best foot forward. We also have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is conjunct or holding hands Mercury, which is the planet of communication. Both of these are sitting in Capricorn at the moment. So it's almost sort of like Venus has sort of taken a little bit of a step back. It's sort of like we've calmed things down. We're not sort of quite as excited as we were with Venus in Sag, and everything was magical and sparkly and shiny and like Christmas decorations. Now we've sort of gone into a more grown up and more serious Venus that says, okay, let's take it back a notch or two. Let's look at the practicalities. If I was to meet somebody at the moment, and it doesn't matter what your star sign is, if I was to meet a new potential suitor at the moment, what would I be looking for? With Venus here in Capricorn, we'd be looking for a more grown-up type of relationship, something that would bring a steadiness to our lives, somebody that we could rely on, somebody that's dependable, somebody obviously hopefully has a job if they're of working age, somebody that's independent and can financially support themselves, but also can bring an enrichment to my life, that can bring a stability factor, that we can enjoy getting to know each other with the potential of this maybe becoming a serious committed relationship. Communication should be good. It should be something that is, you know, at times quite serious. And by that, I mean, you know, you've just met somebody, and usually one of the taboo subjects is we don't talk about politics or religion or family when you first meet somebody. But these may be some of the topics that are on the table for discussion, even in the very early stages of a relationship, because it is a more grown-up sort of relationship. And we're not just looking at the fluffy stuff and gazing into someone's eyes. We're wanting to go a little bit deeper and understand what makes them tick, and who are they and what are they about, what are their principles, what do they stand for, you know, who did they vote for in the last election and why. And it's not a matter of sitting in judgment, even if they're on the opposite sides of the political aisle. It's understanding their views, their reasons, why they sort of supported that particular style of politics or voted in that particular way. And that goes, you know, right across the board with other things that you may not necessarily agree with. You know, one of you may be very much into climate change and the other one sitting on the fence or very much against it. So it's a time of really sort of opening up and listening to what this new person's got to say. Maybe that they'll bring some enlightenment. Maybe they'll give you a different perspective to look at things from. So it'll be an intense grown up, but a really nice, calm sort of, you know, relationship, or the potential of a love relationship. So if you're looking for one of those types of relationships, it's the perfect time now. We also have Neptune, the planet of illusion and delusion, and the planet of creativity, which is more what I like to think of Neptune as. I think of Neptune as sort of allowing us to sort of explore the inner child, go back to our childhood at a time when there was no limitations, no boundaries. You just sort of conjured it up in your mind, in your mind's eye, your imagination, and then tried to transpose that into your life. You didn't see a boundary or I can't do that because I've got a lack of funds or whatever the case may be. You just allowed yourself to dream big and believe it was going to happen. And also with that is a little bit of innocence and a little bit of a, I suppose, a childlike sort of energy. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with having that, even as you become a more mature adult, and even as you head into your later years of your life. You can still have a bit of fun and frivolity and still have a way of looking at things through those magical sort of juvenile, childish sort of eyes, because that's what brings a freshness to situations and to opportunities. If we can do that, we can have the best of both worlds. We can have everything at our fingertips, that we can, you know, present an idea or cultivate an idea from every sort of angle, not just from one sort of narrow point of view. So that it really is a time of positivity. It really is the time of that you can get projects done, you can get people to listen to you, you can sort of, you know, for very creative people, songwriters, poets, artists, things like that, it's an incredibly creative time at the moment, no matter what your sign is. And it's like, allow yourself that luxury of a little bit of time to sort of, you know, go off and be creative. And you know, you've got that artistic license to be a little bit different or a little bit strange or late for dinner or whatever the case may be, because you've been in one of those creative phases. So let's not waste it. Let's not waste this magical sort of energy that's around us at the moment. There's a lot of creativity going on out there. I know lots of people I've been working with over the last few weeks. There's a spark in the air. People are starting to get excited again. People are starting to sort of think outside the comfort zone a little bit. It's sort of, we all know COVID's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere, but we're all getting on with our lives. And it's like the momentum, I can feel the momentum starting to build again, where people are sort of starting to say, okay, it's now time. I've got to look forward to 2023 of really making my mark. I've made some changes in the last few years. Now I want to capitalise on that. I want to start to sort of get the ball rolling again. I want to step into new ventures or new jobs or new opportunities. And it's sort of like, I can't wait to get going. And that's a good sign, because it means that we're all starting to come out of the pandemic and start to take our own power back, which I think is very important. Now, finally, before I wrap up the astrology section, I want to talk about Chiron, the planet, which isn't an actually planet, it's an Arabian part, which is known as where we find the part where we've been the most wounded or the most we need to heal in our lives. And a lot of astrologers look at this as a past life thing. It's what we've brought into this current incarnation that we need to heal. So we've got Chiron sitting in Aries at the moment, which is, yes, definitely affecting Aries people, but it's affecting each and every one of us. And it's sextiling or making a nice transit with Mars in Gemini. So what this means, if you have had some sort of illness, whether it's emotional, physical, or you feel that there's been some sort of limitations in your life that you haven't been able to break through of, or there hasn't been an opening or an opportunity for that, I want you to now put yourself in the driver's seat and say, I am the master of my own universe. I can break through any of the boundaries, any of the blockages, any of the obstacles that are there, and believe that you can do it. And by doing this, with the help of the sextile to Mars, Mars will help you break down those barriers, will help you break through those big boulders that have been in your road with some creative, new, innovative ideas, or some things. So, we call those those light bulb moments. Why didn't I think of that before? Or it's been sitting here on the tip of my nose, as my mum used to say. And, there it was waiting for me all the time. So here it is that we have these opportunities regardless of your star sign, but more importantly for Aries and Gemini is the two that it's the strongest for. But for each and every one of us in the zodiac, we all have this opportunity to get some of these breakthrough moments and to be able to heal ourselves. And I think that's really important, because a lot of us are still feeling the after effects of COVID, whether we physically had the illness or whether it was just the things that went on in our lives around us that altered and changed our lives, and sometimes for the better and sometimes not for the better. But we all went through some sort of restriction or limitation in our lives, and it did affect us in an emotional way for each and every one of us. So it's now time to heal and move past that and sort of embrace what life's got to offer and open ourselves up to a wonderful new beginning, particularly for 2023. So that's where we're going to leave the astrology section this week. We're going to talk with Deborah in Forney in Texas in the USA. Are you there, Deborah?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Deborah?
Yeah, somehow I have gotten this urge to have a relationship, and I'm late in life. I'm 68, and I have just a desire to get married. Now, I'm not seeing anybody, and I don't know where this is coming from, but it just happened since October. And what are you reading, if anything, if this is just something I've fantasy, or if this is a reality that is coming in the future?
Okay, first and foremost, Deborah, when we get something like this, whether you want to call it a vision, whether you want to call it a thought, a dream, it doesn't matter what label you want to put on it, but it has come from a higher force. It's not something that you just got up this morning and daydreamed and dreamt up while you're having your morning coffee. This is something that your soul is trying to share with you. and probably bringing in a little bit early so that they can get you used to the idea, because you may have already decided that, okay, at this stage of my life, I'm not looking to get married or settle down again or do this or do that. And then, the powers that be have the master plan in their hand, and they've got a different direction that they're going to take us. So no, I don't think it's something that you've imagined or you've daydreamed. I think it is a direct message from Spirit. And, Spirit works hand in hand with our soul. And, I firmly believe our lives are mapped out for us before we take our first breath. Where our free will comes in is that, we get to an intersection, we have a choice. We can either turn right or left if it's a T intersection. So that's where our free will comes in. We've just been taken to the intersection, then it's up to us which direction we take. And the same can be said when you're given a message like this from Spirit and it's come through on a soul level. And that's why you're questioning, did I imagine this? Did I dream it? Is it real? Is it something I've got to look forward to or something to think about when it happens? Or is it just, my mind playing tricks on me? No, it's not your mind playing tricks on you. They're preparing you, they're getting you ready for it, because maybe it was something that you didn't anticipate you even wanted or needed. So it doesn't mean that if you go out tonight and you meet somebody that you've got to fall madly in love with them just because they're new on the scene. It just means open your heart up, be open to the new opportunities that are coming towards you. Whether or not you take the step of marriage is really probably inconsequential, because sometimes when they use things like that we understand and we know, it's not always literally physically getting married, going to a church and putting a ring on your finger. It could just be symbolising, yes, you're going to meet somebody that's very significant in your life, and it's going to be a very stabilising opportunity in your life. It's up to you whether you take that step, but it's showing you that your life is going to become more settled, more stable. I think when we're young and we finish high school and go to college or whatever we do, we have this fantasy in our mind that everything's going to be okay when we get married and settle down and, we start a family. That's sort of what we've been led to believe. And then, as life sort of unfolds and progresses, sometimes we see that's not really the path for us, or it didn't work out the way that we imagined or daydreamed it would. And we start to set other priorities and other directions in our lives for ourselves. So it's like I sort of want to take you back to that innocence of being, late teenage, early 20s, where you can have the magic of what the world's got to offer. So definitely, Debbie, I do believe that there's a new opportunity coming. I do believe there's stability coming in your life. And yes, I do believe that there's someone significant that's going to be in your life. It'll be your choice whether you take it that far that you want to, go and get legally married, or whether or not you just build a life together that is of the same stature, that's very stable. So, it's interesting, Deborah, because I feel the last couple of years have been sort of almost like shifting sands under your feet. And I'm not talking about just with COVID, I'm talking about in life in general with you. There's been so many shifts and changes. It's going to be nice for just everything to stand still for a little while, won't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just look forward to it, look forward to what the universe is bringing you, what your spirit guides are bringing forward to you. You're very intuitive. Don't dismiss something just because you don't understand it. If it doesn't feel right to you at the moment, say, okay, fine, look, I'm listening. I'm open to suggestions, but I'll just put it on the back burner for now. I'm doing this. I'm getting on with that. And you're allowed to do that. Yeah. So that's where we're going to leave Deborah. Merry Christmas, Deborah. So we're going to speak with Brittany in Griswold in Connecticut. Are you there, Brittany?
Yes.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, Brittany?
I'm just kind of curious as to what insight for what's to come.
Okay. Normally it's easier for me to connect with you, Brittany, if I have a question that might have been troubling you or something that you wanted answered. You're just sort of saying that, you like to know what's happening in your life. And look, that's fine. The first thing that they're sharing with me, Brittany, is it's like you've been going round and round in circles, like on a merry-go-round for some time now. Has that been how 2022's felt to you, as if you've just been going round and round in circles and not really having the opportunity to get off the merry-go-round or, in your eyes, make progress?
Yes.
Yeah. Look, sweetie, while that's been going on, I want to share with you, you have actually made progress. Even though you mightn't be able to measure it, there has actually been progress that's been happening as you've been going round and round in circles. There is progress that's being made. They keep showing me a dark-headed man. Now, I'm not quite sure how to tie this into the equation. I didn't feel it was like a love interest. I didn't feel like it was your husband or your partner, but I just kept seeing this flash of a dark-headed man. Is that somebody that you lost that's passed over in the last couple of years?
What was it?
A man
What
with
was it?
dark hair. Was there somebody that that passed away in the last couple of years that you were connected to that had dark hair, a male?
My father.
Okay. Well, he's very much around you at the moment. So have you been sort of feeling him recently?
I actually had a dream that took place at his, like, in the dream, it took place at his house the other day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good, because he wants you to know that he's there and he sees everything that's going on, and he has actually been helping you stay on what I'm going to term as the merry-go-round, because he wanted you to sort things out. It was like you had to keep going round and round in circles, because each time we did that, we were actually getting more insight or more answers to the questions that have been troubling you in your life. He's got the most beautiful smile on his face. Did he have a particular look he got on his face when he had something he wanted to tell you but he wasn't allowed to, you know, like he bought an exciting gift or something, and he'd have this look of almost he was going to burst, you know, with excitement or anticipation. Do you remember that look?
Not really, but to be honest, for many years, him and I were not very close.
Okay.
We kind of had some issues over the years.
Well, I don't know that that's necessarily uncommon, Brittany. You know, sometimes we fall out with people that we're closest to. He was just showing me a look he had on his face like when you were a little kid, like, you know, 8, 9, 10 or something like that, where he'd know what you were getting for Christmas and he was bursting to tell you or to see the look on your face, and he could hardly contain himself. He's showing me that look again, as if he knows something that's coming up in your life that he really is quite excited about for you, because he feels that you've done the tough times. There's been too many tough times. Do you know what I mean? You've done it well. You haven't whinged or moaned about it. You've got on with it. But he wants to see you smile again. He wants to see things to become easier for you. So is there potentially some changes coming up around where you're living next year, or maybe even a move?
We're hoping to be able to, like, find a house to buy, but finances have been a little bit, you know, questionable over the last couple of years, but we're starting to get in a better direction when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that must be what he was showing me, because he was indicating to me that there was going to be some changes to where you were living and potentially a move of residence, but I'm not seeing it till around about May, June, July next year. But he was very excited about it, so I don't feel uncomfortable with that. There seems to be a lot more happiness coming next year. It's not necessarily, you know, all of a sudden you're going to open up the floodgates and you'll have more money than you know what to do with. I don't mean it in that way. I just mean life in general seems to be getting easier. It seems to be coming, you know, if you make a plan and you stick to it, sort of like, you know, you've been saving hard to try and get a home of your own, then keep on that plan. You know what I mean? Sort of keep looking at houses on the internet, put a picture of one up on the fridge, you know, and every time you walk past it, say, that's the sort of house I'd like to own. You know what I mean? Keep reaffirming your dreams, your aspirations, and just know that the things that you want to come to you, if you truly believe in it, it can happen. It's like, don't water things down. Don't jump from one idea to another. If purchasing your own home is your number one objective, the one thing that you want to achieve really, really seriously for next year, then make that the one that you focus your energy on. The other things that make up your life aren't as important as that major turning point where it'll give you a sense of stability and ownership and pride, and, you know, the two of you will really make it a home. So I think next year is certainly going to be a big year for the family. It's a much better year than what you've had. And also they're showing me, Brittany, your energy levels are starting to stabilise again. Were you not well there for a while, or was it just that your energy was bouncing all over the place? But they're just showing me a nice feeling of I feel well again. I feel like I've got enough energy to achieve the things I need to achieve in a week.
I've been struggling with constantly being drained, like, for a few years now, but I finally got some new doctors that are actually trying to figure out what's going on to help fix that issue.
Well, I feel they're going to be successful. Look, medical things are things that around the world we're not allowed to talk about because I'm not a qualified doctor, but on an energetic level, they were showing me your energy levels were going to stabilize. It was like, finally, I've got enough energy. I can plan what I want to do for today, tomorrow, this week, and I know I'm going to be able to achieve it and achieve it comfortably. And with this is also going to come better sleep. And I think that's been part of the problem too, Brittany. You're exhausted all the time, but when you do go to sleep, your body's not going into a deep enough sleep to help you replenish those energy levels either. So certainly a big year to look forward to next year, Brittany. Merry Christmas, and that's where we're going to leave Brittany now. We've come to the end of the show, and it's always sad when we come to the end of the show because I love working with each and every one of you. This week I want to leave you with a very, very extra special Christmas carol. This year the world lost one of the world's greatest singers, Olivia Newton-John, and look, she's always been an inspiration to me. Olivia's there was nothing she couldn't sing. But about 3 years ago now, she teamed up with one of Australia's best, John Farnham, and the two of them brought out a Christmas album, which I play religiously every year at Christmas time. And look, there isn't one particular song on that album I'm going to say is any better than the other. They're all brilliant. They're all amazing. But this particular song I've chosen to leave you with this week, to me, sends chills down your spine. It's almost like a religious experience when you put this one on the turntable. So I'm going to leave you with Olivia Newton-John and John Farnham's version of The Little Drummer Boy. And I know that song has been sung by many, many amazing singers around the world, and it is one of my favourite carols, but this one is really sort of magical and something to behold. So look that up on where you stream your music services from. It's called The Little Drummer Boy by Olivia Newton-John and John Farnham. Until next week, have a very, very Merry Christmas. Don't spend too much money at the shops and be happy and keep smiling. Bye for now.